Welcome to Two Sisters Podcast with your hosts, Kristy and Melissa, who are real sisters bringing you real talk about life and faith through humor, insight, and community. Now, let's get into this week's episode.
What's up, guys? It's Melissa
and Kristy,
and welcome to Two Sisters Podcast. So, today, the title is it wise or is it selfish? And so, Chris is going to get into it in a minute about, what she means by this. But just to say, wise or selfish, and I'm like, I don't know. When she first brought this subject up, it's like wisdom, selfishness, wisdom, selflessness. It's like, why is it a question, you think? Like, why does it have to be a thing?
And that's why we're talking about it today.
Yeah.
That the whole thing of why it is the thing,
right,
is the reason why I want to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. So, go ahead.
Yeah. So, generally speaking, like overall in life, I feel like there are constraints and expectations placed on us as human beings. And from there, we just evolve and we think about the attacks that are going to come our way. And so we don't make decisions based on what somebody's going to think or what somebody's going to label us as, i.e. selfish, right? And I'm talking about like way back from the start. So like when you talk to kids, right? You talk to 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds, 7-year-olds, 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds, and you ask them what they want to be, and they have created a job title that's not in the dictionary, right? Because they're limitless. They don't have anything weighing on them at such a young age. Of course, by the time you get 8 or 9, you have had some challenges, but let's just talk about the 3 or 4-year-old. When you say, what do you want to be when you grow up? And they're like, oh, I want to be an astronaut, pilot, singer, actress. You're like, oh, okay. Oh, and a farmer, And so because they don't have any limitations, right? But as we get older, others people's expectations or definitions of certain things are impressed or oppressed on us, right? So by the time you get an adult and you're in college or you're in your career, you're 20, 30, 40, 50, you want to make certain life decisions, but you can't, because if you make this whatever particular decision, oh, you're selfish. Oh, you're not thinking about others. And mainly by that time, you probably have some responsibility. So you have a family, a dog, a cat, whatever. But what if you wake up one day and be like, I have 3 dogs, 2 cats, a pet frog, and I don't want no pets no more.
Is it okay to change your mind?
Is it wise?
Oh my gosh.
Or is it selfish that you don't want these pets no more? But you ain't there no more, right? They're not bringing you peace, okay? The pets are getting on your nerves, and
it costs you more
why
money than you
got to keep them at this point? You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you go to your family and be like, I don't want these, these 4 or 5 pets no more. We're taking them all to the shelter. We're gonna put out a flyer in the neighborhood, HOA, and we're gonna get this frog away. It's some 7-year-old that's gonna love this frog, but I'm done with the frog, right? But immediately somebody in your circle is gonna say, oh my gosh, that is so selfish.
Yeah. So you think they're basically,
how could you?
And I know this is like a simple analogy,
yes,
or whatever,
very elementary,
but the concept and principle of it is still the same. And it's like, okay, so my question to you is, do you think that people project their fear or their limitations or their own constraints or whatever constraints was put on them. You see what I'm saying? Like, that makes you, I don't know, in a way insecure about the decision that you're making. You know what I mean? My question?
Most definitely.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to like expound on that. Like, why do you think that is? Like, I guess, and you know, this is how I realized I was different, in the way that I think, most times, you know what I mean? Like, because, or maybe it's just the way that God created some people to be wired in how they process things, because it's like, and by human nature, we are all selfish. You know what I mean? Like, we always kind of think of self first, right? But it's like most times for me, when people tell me what they're considering or what they're thinking about, you know, doing or whatever, most of the time it's like, you know, you feel the emotion, and this is what my point is. I think people allow their emotions to sometimes guide their mouth. And what I mean by that is like, so say if you come to me and say, you know, or even like just the type of positions I've held in life as far as career choices, you know, from going from a corporate situation to consulting or whatever, you know, traveling and different things that the job has afforded me, is like, sometimes when people don't understand, and so you go to them and you saying, hey, I'm going to leave this 6 figures for basically following what's in my heart or what my faith saying, you know, that I should do. It's just a bigger picture for, you know, just you give your reasons, and so far, you know, you think, well, your mind goes to, well, first of all, are you going to still be able to pay your mortgage? Are you going to be able to feed your children? Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like you go from this to that because what? And it makes no sense. So I feel like sometimes our emotions be like, and it's like you will also be losing, say like they want to move out, you losing your friend, or, you know, it's basically something that is changing for you, that makes you feel uncomfortable, that you speak from that emotion instead of like seeking to understand them and why, you know, or not that they owe you an explanation either, because, you know, I'm at that place too. Like, I don't owe you nothing. Like, whatever decision I'm making for me or my family, my house, is my decision. I'm not asking for input. But when you go to a friend, or when you go to someone that you believe is a friend or a confidant or whatever, you respect their opinion, and you go to them, and then you get this I don't know what the word is for, but it's like you had some exciting news, you was excited to say it, you was also nervous, you was also, you know, you have your emotions going on too, but you were willing, you know, you had the courage to say what you were feeling, or you had the courage to say what you wanted, and then you get this
hate.
You know, and they may not realize that it's hate, but what I'm saying is like
hateration.
You know, something like so going back to my first point is like, I think that sometimes people come from a place of their emotions because, again, it affects them in some kind of way. They're not really caring or considering the other person's decision. And so that, to me, is what makes that person start to doubt, or, you know, reflect on, or, you know, just doubt themselves or doubt their decision, or, you know what I'm saying? So
this is going to be so drastic, but it popped up in my mind. Mm-hmm. So we recently, I guess like a month or so ago, watched a series on one of these networks, and it was one of them underground railroad shows. Mm-hmm. And this was a little different. It was definitely, the plot was very, very different. But in the gist of all of those types of shows where someone is oppressed and they have gotten in their head that they are going to be free of this oppression, right? You always have those people that are used to being oppressed and they're like, oh no, you running for freedom?
How dare you?
Wait.
Yeah.
Don't you know such and such, Moses, Franklin, Sarah got their head arm,
right.
You know,
they died.
They either died or got something chopped off, and now they're example, right?
Right.
But if no one ever goes for freedom, and we're using freedom in the big sense of the word and whatever your oppression is, okay? If it's them pets, okay, if them pets oppressing you up in your house,
so y'all, let me just say, the reason why she keep using pets is because she's not a pet person.
No, I'm not.
Okay, so anyway.
But I will be probably in 5 years one of the memes that the person that didn't want to is the most and then text them everywhere. Anyway, here's my point. That was drastic, but you're always going to have those. The majority of the people are going to be like, no, you can't get freedom. There's consequences for freedom. We're going to get judged for freedom, right? And if you go free, then they just going to look at us, the people that's left behind, and they're going to punish us because somebody done got free. Right?
Right.
But the person that's seeking freedom, okay, have established in their mind that freedom is worth the cost.
Yep.
As drastic as that cost is, because they're literally dying inside from being oppressed.
Yeah.
Right? Now let's talk about different points of oppression. I know we were talking about slavery. Let's go, to 2021. Is your job oppressing?
Still slavery.
Still slavery. Is your job oppressing you? Is your mortgage oppressing you? Do you need to downsize? Look, count the cost, right? That's what the Bible says. Count the cost, right? Is this particular college oppressing you, right? Like in the location of the country that it's in, the cost, right? Whatever that is living in a dormitory oppressing you, because it sure was oppressing me. I had to break free and use that money, which was not wise, right? It wasn't wise for my pockets, but it sure was wise for my privacy.
And your mental.
And why is we up in here like the army? Why is we sharing bathrooms? Should nobody
well,
that's grown,
that's why you
have to share toilets. I can't do it.
Well,
I can't do
that's why you gotta get your own.
So no, it was not wise for me financially, but it sure gave me a whole bunch of peace of mind, okay, when I moved out to an apartment. So I'm just saying, in life, what does that look like for you? Now, Melissa and I are currently single, right? Check back in a couple months or a year. Well, so we can theoretically pick up and go anywhere we want to at any time.
Yep.
And it's not going to affect. It's only going to affect one more individual who she think we're responsible for. And that's our mother. Okay. Anyway. So we just pick her up, take her with us. You know what I'm saying? But we understand that everyone can't do that.
Right.
That you have whole families and you have whole children.
Yep.
You have daycares, you have school, you have private school, you have a particular school that you waited 3 years for your children to get into. We get that. However, that we also have recognized that is a jail. That is a prison. We have set ourselves up in environments that are oppressive. And I'm saying to you, is it wise or is it selfish? Okay, well, if you're not happy and you're the parent, and you're assuming that you've set up this lifestyle where, you're paying this amount of tuition, you are living in this particular neighborhood, you are living this particular side of the country, but you are absolutely losing your health, your physical health, because you have to go for the 6-figure job to maintain all of this. is it going to matter when you are not here? Because your physical health has degraded to a point because you're striving for all of these outside things that is not causing you peace, right? Mm-hmm. And from two children that are now grown mm-hmm. that have come from a divorced family, one of the best things my mama did, okay, was get on that plane that fateful day and take her two children, because it was just not a healthy marriage, mm-hmm. okay? And she counted the cost and she said, I'm out of here. All right. Now, did that affect us? Absolutely it did. Yeah. Absolutely it left marks that we had to deal with subsequently. But overall, you don't want to put your children in, and this is coming from a future parent standpoint, but coming from the children of a divorced couple. Mm-hmm. So we know, looking back on it, what that walk was like for us. Excuse me. And we, as grown people, even as children, we recognize the woman made a good decision. You hear me? As children, we were like, girl, yeah, let's go. So silly. Well, not really. Melissa
right,
was, but I was like, I want to say about that. But anyway, nevertheless, as grown adults, we realized she made the best decision. So what I'm saying to you, like, don't come at me with hate in the comments, talk about I don't know and I can't speak on. Okay, I'm speaking on somebody who lived through it. And so is my sister. So yes, there are certain things that we can speak to from personal experience. And there are things that we can just see with our two eyes. Right?
Right.
And whatever circumstances you are in life, is it wise or is it selfish? My thought is, it can't be that selfish if you're saving your own life. Okay?
Amen. And it is that serious. You saving your own life. Go ahead, I just said this.
You know what I mean? With big and little things. What's considered a big thing? A house in a particular neighborhood and that mortgage, or that rent, or that car payment, or that career change, right? Or going out with your friends, you know, at such and such time, at such and such place. What's happening in this environment when you're going out with your friends? Are you sitting there wishing you were someplace else? Have you grown to the point where you're not like, I'm really not, our whole entire conversation might be talking about men all day. Ugh. And you like, ain't nothing else to talk about?
Lord.
Or children all day, or politics in the world. And it's just like, some of these conversations are depressing and oppressing. You're like, can we talk about some business? Have you heard of any creative ideas? Like, you know, what was your last networking event? And I'm just using those examples because I have yet to go to a networking event. But I'm just saying, to the people that it applied to, like, is it selfish or is it wise? And I feel like I've been talking for at least 10 minutes, so Melissa, please jump in.
Well, I mean, you're talking because it's
in my heart.
It's in your heart, yeah. Like, I mean, I really don't have nothing to say. You really wasn't talking that long because I felt like I was talking that 10 minutes when I was trying to explain, like, my perception of what's happening on both sides. Like, I come to you with this great expectation of, especially if we're friends, and this is why I have like this friend checklist. It's like, you know, your friends, your circle should be celebrating you, and your wins and your disappointment. You know, like they're with you, whatever it is, whether it's wins, whether it's disappointments, whether it's, you know, your growth, your learning growth spurt, or whatever you want to call it. But that's what I call it. Like, when you become wise in a sense that you've learned from some things and you're sharing, and you're not, you didn't come to them to be judged. You know what I'm saying? But then you get this counter, you know, I got to figure out the word, but you get this counter wall of, no, you didn't. You have the audacity to think you do what with who, for what, like who do you think you are? And you know what I mean? Like, you get the whole different, you know, energy, and you get a whole different response than what you thought you were going to get from the person you thought was on you, on your side, you know. So that kind of throws you.
And to double dash in here, we were on a recent call with an expert coach. And I had a question for the group, or I had a question specifically for him.
I'm so glad you brought that up.
And he said, blessings are not transferable.
Ooh.
And
yes,
faith is not transferable. And so that helped me a lot, even though I
Yes.
had heard it before. But in that particular question, it was like, oh,
like
right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that really helped soothe my soul, because, you know, it was shaken a couple of times, because like Melissa was saying, you go and you're like on 100,000 on your faith and what you can get and what you can receive from God and what you're believing for and what you have a right to.
Right.
And you're literally making sense in your mind. And then you go out there and you're like, not only can I have it, but you can have it, and you can have it, and you can have it. Right? And they're like, nah, we can't have it, girl. Ain't nobody got that. Only 7% of the population can get that. And you're like, huh?
Right.
You know, you can only get that so many times, especially, you know, you're trying to encourage other people. For me and Melissa specifically, we have a passion for encouraging women in different arenas of life. And so in some of those arenas, we're standing in that too, right? And confident in it. But it gets to a point where myself, I'm just like, it wears you down sometimes, because you have to uplift yourself and you have to uplift these other people. And you're literally like, you know, it's like a plug into the wall where you're getting charged and you're giving all of your energy out and no one's giving that back to you. There's no reciprocation. But that is really how it's supposed to be, because if you have that burning up in your heart, that just shows you that you have to plug up to one source,
right,
which is God. Right?
I've already told you.
And you have to intensify that, because the moment you try to, you know, take your plug out of the wall, which is God, and you try to, you know, take the plug out and you're looking and you're waving, if you can picture you're waving the cord outside back and forth, trying to, you know, find someone to plug into to get that validation, to get that power again.
You're going to short circuit and fizzle out.
Listen. So it just made me realize personally who my source is. And that blessings is not transferable, and that faith is not transferable. My faith doesn't have to be the next woman's faith, right? That's why it's my faith. And what I'm specifically believing for, someone doesn't have to believe it for. I want it for them, right? And then quick sidebar story. Relating to that, like I remember being at a job, and I had a supervisor, and we both were in upper management, but I was getting ready to surpass her at the same company, but a different facility in a quote unquote higher role. And I had been telling her the entire time I was there that she is supposed to be in that role that I had applied for and gotten, but she just didn't see it. So I spent, 1 or 2 years trying to rah-rah shish kumbaya, cheerlead this woman. And she had everything going for her. She had a degree. She had the time. She had the time with the company. She had the people, the ear of the important people. But she literally had not applied. And I had been there a quarter of the time that she had, and I got the position. And it was just like, that's what he was talking about, and that's what we're talking about in this particular part of the subject today is, faith is not transferable. I tried real hard to transfer my faith over to that woman, and she was not trying to accept it. She was not, she just didn't want it for herself. So is it wise or is it selfish? Right. And you only get that one life.
Say it again.
You only get that one life.
You only get that one
Please.
life.
What kind of song is that?
I don't know
that melody.
Life. I'll make up a song in a minute.
But that's from the movie. So,
yeah. Wise or selfish or selfless? Like, people, the bottom line here is that at this point in time, and everybody's figuring this out, like what's important. Okay, your life is important, and yes, your family, your especially your kids, your spouse, your parents, and all of that. That everybody's important, and we have learned that, especially from this past year. Losing people, pandemics, civil unrest, like it's just a lot going on. So family is everything. Family does mean a lot. You mean a lot as well, and you cannot neglect just making the choice to live your life. I mean, and it's just that simple. Live your life. And when you do that, and sometimes you might have to make those. There's consequences. I wrote that down when she was talking. There's consequences with your decision to do what's best for you. And when you're counting the cost, and like she said, you're dying inside, trying to live this life that you in prison. You're in a prison in your own life. Who wants that kind of life? Like, what does it serve you? What does it serve you? And so when you're counting this cost, is it worth the cost? Is your freedom worth the cost of whatever consequences that you've decided that you want to do, for whatever it is, you decide? You want peace, you want freedom, you want whatever. Your family, your friends will be there. Like, that's just an automatic thing. You can't, first of all, you can't divorce your family. You can be wise. If I don't care who they are, if they're toxic, it's your choice to continue to be around them. So rather, that's just a whole nother circumstance anyway. But your family, your immediate family, that's an automatic anyway. So what you really need to decide is what you want, and make the decision to go for it. And it's whatever makes you happy. It's whatever makes your heart filled with joy. And joy is a decision. Happiness is a decision. And it's according to your faith. Like she said, that she never lied when he said that faith is not transferable. So sometimes you have to keep your mouth shut and just do what's in your heart to do. To me, what I've learned is silence speaks louder. You'll see. I don't have to announce every single thing I'm doing. I don't have to announce my blessings. I don't have to share like I just said before, 10 minutes ago, whatever decisions I make for me and mine is mine and my decision. I do what I believe is best for me and my family. I've been down that road with, caring, sharing, caring so much about other people's feelings and different things like that. Like, it comes to a point in a time in your life when you have to decide that you have to do what's best for your peace, your sanity, and your health.
Yes, another story, sidebar related. I had to set the big sister straight recently because she had a conversation with someone and it threw her off because that person's response to her was surprising to her, and she was really trying to figure out in her heart, well, did I do something wrong? If I did something wrong, please, let me fix it. Mm-hmm. And while she was going through that, I was on, looking at the scenery around where we were. Okay? Yeah. And I'm being real careful with my words right now. Mm-hmm. I was looking at the scenery, blinking right? And so on the way home, I was just letting her know, you need to go a little bit backwards to where you were in your mindset. Mm-hmm. That no one is about to throw you off of your path. Yeah. When I tell you it was a happy time, it was an amazing time, and this person came in and changed her whole mood for 24 hours. And that's not like Melissa. And outside looking in, I knew immediately, like, based on this person's title in your life, don't give them this room. It doesn't matter. Like she said, it does not matter who they are in your life. Don't let somebody cause you to be thrown off when you know there's no reason for it, right? And this is another subject, but I'm gonna go ahead and plug this in on this particular podcast is, if someone does not make sense, okay, if you cannot understand where they are coming from, like logically, reasonably, you know what type of person you are, you know what type of person they are, and what they're saying to you makes absolutely no sense, that is your cue that you're not supposed to understand it, okay? And this person needs to be put on your prayer list. You need to give it over to God. Like, cast your care unto the Lord, for He cares for you.
Yeah.
And keep it pushing. Because all that was, in retrospect, was an attack.
Yeah.
Okay? To bring you out of that happy moment. And that person, they're living that way. Right?
Yeah.
That's the space that they have in life often. And whether they know it or not, right? They're bringing that energy and they're bringing that over to you, or trying to, intervene into your space when you're chilling and you happy. So if you get into those circumstances, and it happens daily, okay? It happens by your coworkers, it happens from your family members, it happens from the people that's standing in front of you in the grocery line. It's like, what?
Yeah.
What did you talk about? Because they don't know what they're talking about, people. And don't go troubling your brain cells.
Yeah, man.
To try to figure it out. And then your heart is troubled. I mean, your heart troubled, like, oh my gosh, Lord, do I need to, talk to you? Did I do something wrong? Do I need to repent? Am I in wrong standing? Am I jacked up? Am I, selfish?
Right. Yeah, and that's exactly what it was. Like,
no, you're not selfish.
So it's like,
if they don't make no sense, then they don't make no sense. Put them in the no sense category and keep it moving.
Yeah. So again, like these talks that we have on this podcast is literally like things we real life. Yeah. Like, so yeah. Like recently she had to be the one that had to coach me, like, cause I was thrown off, because I don't know, like, man, I just have a heart to give, and I'm always thinking of others, and so yeah, sometimes that can be a little bit of a challenge, and I, and honestly, and we're gonna wrap this up. Honestly, like, ever since, like, I lost my father, so it's been like 8.5 years, right?
Girl, don't give me the count over here.
Yeah, 8.5 years.
You think I want to count this?
Right. So it's been a minute, and ever since then, it's like I've been doing what I wished people had done for me, and so sometimes it feels like you get slapped in the face when you are trying to be, just a light, an ear, just to be there for people, or just that. So from that point on was once I got through that grieving process, that was my decision, or my deciding factor in life, is to also be one of those people to help people through their grieving, or help people, just reach out. I'm one of the ones that usually reach out to people and try to be that bridge, and just be a positive. Just be positive, and like I said, sometimes, man, it just doesn't matter whether it's your closest friends, best friends, or family. Sometimes, like, it's just not received, and even though it comes from a good place, and even if like, people always put themselves, I feel like, in this judgmental judgmental seat, when you probably make a mistake or whatever, not acting as if they don't make mistakes. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't like, so sometimes it does get very confusing. Sometimes it's very draining. And so, yes, I feel like this is for that conversation. So, like, faith is not transferable. I don't think he said blessings is not transferable, but I know he said faith is not. Faith is not transferable. Excuse me. And sometimes, like I said, like me and my sister, and especially me, because sometimes, like, she gets it quicker than me sometimes, and I'm still trying to fight for people more than they fight for themselves, or before they realize the heart of me, which is the intention to do good and be good, like just to show love. It's just not received. And so sometimes you just gotta let it go. If you don't know me by
so
name, I'm going
you will never know.
And honestly, at this point, they won't know me because I'm not gonna be around. Like, I'm not putting myself out there anymore like that. So, is it wise or is it selfish? And so, for people, like I said, it's uncomfortable for them when you change or flip the script, when you're making decisions for yourself that works best for you. If I feel like if it's not detrimental, life or death threatening situation, like any other thing you do, why can't they just seek to understand or listen or whatever? Like
it's not that serious.
Yeah.
Like I just sung the song by whatever 60/50 was from.
Yeah. It's just not. So
if you know someone and you've known someone for 20, 30 years, and you're accusing them of something that's like a heart thing, then you don't know me.
Nah.
You know what I mean? Like, why are we even having this conversation?
Why am I even trying to
have it? Right. My actions in these last 30 years,
oh my God,
should have shown you that this conversation is clearly unnecessary, right? And that's what I'm telling you. When people don't make no sense, let them not make sense. Okay? Run. Yes. All right? Close down the conversation and keep it pushing. Okay? Don't let nobody change your peace.
Yeah.
Right?
So,
your peace. Something else.
I don't know. I was just about to close. So you got something else?
I did.
Apparently not.
Okay, I guess apparently.
Right, apparently not. So, we're closing out, guys. Like I said, we just wanted to just throw that out there. Is it wise or is it selfish? And honestly,
oh yes, that's what I was gonna say.
Okay, go ahead.
So I told her that day, and this some people may relate to me out there. In Audioville. I told her, listen, next time let me talk to the person. Because I have, out of the trio, all the three of us, okay, I'm the person that will shut it down, okay? And I've gotten to this point, like all of us kind of ping pong when it's necessary to be the shut down person. But like Melissa say, what you not gonna do?
What you not gonna do?
Okay, is disturb this family's peace. That's what you're not gonna do. And if I have to be the no person, I will be the no person. But the point of this podcast of is it wise or is it selfish is we're encouraging you to be your own no person. Mm-hmm. Okay, that's the big picture of the message.
Yep.
You be the no person when somebody bringing you shenanigans and telling you selfish, when it really is a wise decision for you and your literal physical and mental health. Yeah. Then you be wise. You can let them label it selfish.
Yep.
Let them mislabel it selfish, and you label it wise, because that is okay.
And live your life.
As long as you're not hurting people out here in this world, as long as you're not out here, creating trauma and bad situations for other people, and you're not hurting other people, make those best decisions for yourself.
Yes.
Your life.
I concur.
Okay.
Yeah, I concur. Is it wise or is it selfish? So, yeah.
So thank you for joining us. Write us and let us know if you want to part two.
And I just want to put this in here.
Okay.
Evaluate your circle, because again,
right? 5 different circles.
Yeah, man. But that's still with the is it wise or is it selfish? Because
absolutely,
whoever you going to and they breaking you down, like, and just look at the emotional maturity as well, because that's part of it. Okay. Ooh. So I'm gonna just end with that. Ooh. Yeah, we have to talk about that emotional maturity.
Our website is live, is it not?
Oh yeah. Podcast. The website is www.twosisterspodcast.net. Yep.
Yes,
and the app.
And yes, sirs.
Two Sisters Podcast. So thank you guys for listening and joining us. This was a little bit longer, but we just had to make sure we explained ourselves. All right. So till next time. Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Two Sisters Podcast, where we hope to encourage you on your journey of transformation and healing while having fun along the way. Follow us on IG and Twitter. Be sure to like, subscribe, and share it with your friends and family. It's available on all major podcast providers. Just search for Two Sisters Podcast. Till next time.